Morality is the code by which every human interaction must comply. It is a code which aims to ensure flourishing and betterment. In Western Europe, Christianity is not the code of morality. After popular wisdom downgraded Christianity after the European scientific revolution, the Enlightenment decided reason was the guide to our morality, and the winning reason is J.S. Mill's harm principle. This principle states that an action is moral as long as it does not directly hurt anyone, and neither can any obvious hurtful consequence of an action be seen. To say this seems quite fair and reasonable to many of us who grew up and were educated in Western Europe. However, this view of morality is so limited that far from avoiding harm, it causes it. This view is grown from the soil of secularism and individualism. It is sprouted from the tree which only believes as valuable that which is immediately apparent to the senses, and therefore understands hurt only as something directly perceivable. Secular liberalism preaches of the sovereignty of the self, and that our rights and ourselves must be protected, and so long as they are and we are not harmed and we don't harm others, everything is okay. But this completely ignores the big picture. Of course, this is going to happen if you believe that the human mind holds all the power, and this is where the flaw lies. The self is not sovereign, and it is not independent. The self is a gifted thing, which is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and will return to Him. It is a dependent thing, which is part of a community and biosphere, on which it relies and which relies on it. A moral code, then, is limited unless it takes account of the relationship between individuals, communities, and their reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But how can we possibly know? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed ayats in our heart and in the world around us, but even with this we cannot see the future, we cannot guess at the consequence of any event, not for tomorrow and not for 100 years' time. How then was Mill to know, when he formed his views and the Western world lapped them up, that they would lead to global warming, economic crises, poverty, exploitation, genocide and war? He wanted people not to harm each other, he was speaking good. Alas, he missed the point. The good is known by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are reasons for the shariah respect of the environment, the emphasis on not wasting, on economic restrictions, protection of minorities and care for the community. Mill was not to know the depth of despair and harm that has come to so many millions of people as an extension of his and his supporters' rational philosophies. How could he have? He is human. Human reason alone cannot calculate and know the consequences of behaviour. As Muslims, we absolutely acknowledge the harm principle. Of course we should not directly hurt people, but that is very limited. It is limited because it does not account for the devastating effects of other actions of which you cannot immediately see harm. As Muslims, we acknowledge that we cannot know the future and consequences of any action. Our system of morality is shariah. Alhamdulillah, it's simple. We can follow the rules. If we follow the rules, we know that our behaviour is moral. The rules of shariah sometimes conflict with the Western view of morality, and you will frequently hear liberals calling the shariah inhumane or harsh. This is because the shariah accounts for the impact which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows and we do not know. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can know the future consequences of actions. Shariah enables all people to flourish. This is our system of morality. Everything which is in the shariah is an item relevant to morality. It is a moral issue, so even prayer and fasting, as well as how to behave towards others, are instances of moral behaviour. We have to submit to the bigger picture, which we cannot see, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can. So if you've ever found yourself justifying an action saying, "Yeah, but who is it hurting?" think again. We don't know who our actions are hurting. What we know is the system which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has laid out for us, and we know that it is right. If we follow this, only then can we truly be behaving morally.